Hi, Greg Garcia here from Anglers All in Littleton, Colorado. Today I'm going to be tying a Hi-Vis parachute pattern. A lot of folks have been talking about on these cloudy days they can't see their fly, so I thought, well, let's just do a Hi-Vis version of a Baetis pattern we've done in the past. All right, so standard dry fly hook. This is Tiemco 100, size 16 today. My thread is an 8/0 in an olive dun. Seems to cover a lot of bases. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start my thread at about the 65% point on this hook. So right there, I got it laid down at about 50%. So I'm just going to come up just a scotch there, get this thread started, cut my tag off, and then quickly work my thread back to the bend of the hook right above the barb. Have some tailing fibers here from whiting. This is in a dun color. I'm just going to grab, I don't know, maybe 8 to 10. I'm not really counting. Got those stroke perpendicular to the stem. Grab the stem and pull them off. That way those tips should be all even. And then I could determine my length, which is about the length of the body. So I'm just going to kind of go fingernail to fingernail there. Lay these in at a 45-degree angle. Soft wrap, gets it on the hook. Second wrap, I increase my tension and everything rolls right on top. Then I can kind of check my length. If you think that is good, you can just bring her back up. I'm going to wrap this all in right to where I started my thread. That's my visual, where to start and stop everything on this body of this fly so that my proportions will stay in place. The body of this is a goose biot. They come like so. As you can see here, I've gone through these and I have lefts and rights, and I just mark those on the package. And because we want to use the right or the left biot on these. You can also buy this in this form where we have actually had them match wings for us. And as you can see here, I'm going to use the left side. And I've stripped some of these little biots off and I have them pre-soaking so that they'll just wrap a little bit easier. So we want to have this biot so that the curve goes away from us. It follows the form of the hook, and this notch, when I tie it in, will be down. So I'm just going to tie this in by the tip. I'm going to stop just a little shy of right above the barb of the hook, and then come right back up. Then if you want to build a little taper to this fly, you certainly can do that with a few thread wraps. Have a little biot hackle plier. I'm going to connect that to this biot. My first wrap is a little bit, just slightly angled backwards, so that I can get any of this fuzz right at the very end so it doesn't show. And I'm just going to wrap this forward. About one more wrap should do it. Capture that biot in place, 2-3 wraps. Want to make sure it's tied in. Still can tear at this point. I'm just going to snip this off on my side. Try not to get your thread, which I've done in the past. And then now I can just kind of clean up the back end of this biot here so that doesn't come apart. Just kind of paint my hook with a little thread there, that remaining 25% point. Got some Hi-Vis. This is trigger points from EP, or Enrico Puglisi. And I got about enough there, if it's not under tension, about the width of the gap of my hook. We're going to make a post out of this. So I'm just going to lay this right on top of the hook, right in the middle, do a little pinch wrap, get it in place, make one more wrap. Then I'm going to twist this to where it's perpendicular to the hook. I'm going to make two really tight wraps from front to back, and then another wrap around the hook just to make sure nothing slips. And then my thread's at the very back, so I'm going to go from the back to the front, two wraps, make sure it's tight, and then another wrap around the hook. Now I can stand this up at this point, and I can start to post it. What I've found, the easiest way to do this is if you make a few wraps and then hold the post, and then with your bobbin tighten up. I'm going to go up about 2 eye widths up this post. If you try to wrap this really tight as you go up, what's going to happen is you can just zip it off really easy. So maybe just a couple more wraps there. I think that's enough. And now I'm going to go back down. And all these wraps, if I look down on the post, are counter wraps. Go right back down to the base. Make sure everything's tight. And now I'm ready to put my hackle in. So the next thing I'm going to do is I've stripped a few barbs off this piece of whiting rooster cape. And I'm just going to grab it by the tip, attach it, set it up here, right along that post. And then again, just like I did the post, I'm going to just capture that right on the side. And then back down. And then around the hook just to make sure everything's tight. Then what I like to do at this point is to make sure I have tied this in the correct way. Make sure that as I start to wrap that this hackle has not twisted on me. That looks good. Now we just need to do a little dubbing around that thorax. So a little dubbing wax on our fingers. Get the tip started of that dubbing, stroke it down, and then you can just spin that whole piece on. Remember, a little dubbing goes a long way. I'm just pulling just little slight pieces off. If we need to add some, that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to start my dubbing almost right at the eye. Go back up to the post. I'm going to come underneath. Clean up where that biot was tied off. And basically with my dubbing now, I'm just going to kind of fill in that hole that we went from dubbed, or the biot body, to bare hook. Just a little bit more dubbing there. What made me think that this would be a good fly to show was that I was talking to a buddy of mine he's a guide, and just recently had a guide trip during a snowstorm, and they could not, Baetis were just pouring off the water, and they couldn't see their flies at all. So this Hi-Vis would have really helped. All right, so my last rapid dubbing, my thread is coming oriented where it comes right off the backside of my post. And then I'm going to use these rotary parachute hackle pliers. This makes doing parachutes really easy because it pivots as I go around. Now I'm just going to go down this post. There we go. Got about 5-6 wraps there. And now I'm going to tie off this feather right against the post. So with my left hand, I'm just going to grab my thread, come underneath my hackle there. 2 wraps, that's tied off. Now I can undo my hackle plier, nothing's going to go anywhere. But what I like to do at this point is to peel this back with my fingers, and I'm just going to move my thread right up to the eye. If you want to make a little head, you can. And then as long as we're there, we can go ahead and whip finish this before we do any trimming. Now I can cut off my tying thread. And the reason why I do that before I cut this, and I've done this before where I'll accidentally knock my bobbin and undo those wraps, and then I have a piece of hackle that's about 1/8 of an inch long, and there's no way I can retie that, so I have to start over. So now we're safe. So I can cut that off. And then we just need to trim the post. So the post is, the length of the fly itself, the body. So I can just make a straight cut across. Still like to put a little bit of a mayfly shape into this post. So I'm going to take off that front edge. And then I'm going to take off this back edge a little bit, kind of give it a shape of a true mayfly ring. If it's a little long, you can still go in there and trim that off a little bit. Don't get too crazy. If you go too far, you can't add it back on. And then another thing I've been doing too, a lot of my flies, is I've been adding this watershed from a company, Hairline. We get a lot of tying material from these guys. And found that on your dry flies, this definitely will keep these guys floating a little bit longer. So just a drop is all we need. It'll turn the color of the fly at first, but once it dries, it'll be the normal look. And then I just kind of work that through all these fibers of the hackle into the tail. And then when that dries up, it'll be ready to put into your box. You can kind of bend that tail up a little bit. These are tied in well. They're not going to go anywhere, and you can kind of splay them, pop them up, make it look a little bit more like the natural on the water. And there you go. Little Hi-Vis Baetis. And you can play around with those in various sizes. You can also change the hook up a little bit if you'd like. I'm gonna take this out real quick and add in one here that I've tied on a newer hook from Tiemco. It's their TMC 103BL. Super wide gap. They're not sold like this or tied on this hook, but it's a hook that I want to just show everybody. It's black, so it's super stealthy, big old gap, and it is barbless, and that point is super sharp. Very grabby point. So there you go, Hi-Vis Baetis. Thanks for watching. Please check us out on our YouTube channel or Vimeo. And until next time, thank you so much for watching.